This is the Horse Radio Network. This is episode 62 of the Stable Scoop Radio Show on the Horse Radio Network, Extreme Horsewoman Update. Please support our sponsors as they make this show possible. Equestrian Collections brings a whole universe of equestrian shopping to your fingertips. Visit equestriancollections.com.
Welcome to the Stable Scoop, with weekly shows delivered right to you. With Helena and Glenn the Geek, live from the stable, it's every week. They bring you the news through hail or high water, while using their tails as their own fly swatters. So sit on down and laugh till you poop, cause it's time again for the Stable Scoop. Stable Scoop. The Stable Scoop. Stable Scoop.
This is Glenn the Geek.
And this is Helena B., and you're listening to the Stable Scoop Radio Show on the Horse Radio Network.
Well, hi, Helena.
Hello, Glenn. How are you?
Okay, well, you know, we put out a show last week, but I was really off in Las Vegas at a convention for new media people from around the country. So it seems like I was gone longer than a week, though. Doesn't it seem like longer than we've talked?
It does. It does. You were at the Geek Convention.
Yeah, this was geeky. I'll talk a little bit about it, but I wanted to first mention what we have coming up today. We're so excited because we're doing. Remember back on episode 30, it was on March 13th. We did a show called Extreme Horsewomen, and we had 3 great horsewomen on the show that also did other extreme things outside of horses. Like that wasn't extreme enough.
Right.
Yeah. But they also did other extreme stuff. Well, we have 2 of those women coming back with us today to give us updates on how their year is gone. We have Liz Halliday with us, who is the professional race car driver, the Le Mans driver, and she's located in England, and she's also an eventer. And she, if you remember right, she had some horses going 3-star level and was hoping to do some cool things. So we'll get an update on her horse career and her driving career for this year. It's now ending over in England. Eventing is rounding up. They think they have 1 or 2 more, and then it's pretty much over for the year over there. And I know that that particular style of driving was over too. You can go back, if you'd like to listen to them in order and missed them, go back to episode 30 at stablescoop.com, and it was put out on March the 13th. It's called Extreme Horsewomen, and you can listen to their original interviews, and then you can go back and listen to today's interviews and see, you can get them in order that way. I think it'd be kind of interesting for everybody to do that, even if you heard it before. And then the second one we have with us today is California Highway Patrol officer and endurance rider, Cassandra DiMaggio. We'll check in with her to see how her endurance riding season has gone this year out there in California. She's a California Highway Patrol officer. We thought that was dangerous enough. But, we also, you and I have done a couple shows now with endurance riders throughout the year. Those guys are just nuts. I mean, 100 miles on a horse in one day is just pretty much crazy to begin with.
Yeah, and the fact that they do these other jobs and other things that are equally, if not more crazy. I'm speechless. I don't even know what to say. How do you mentally handle that kind of pressure?
Right, exactly.
You put it on yourself. It's fun. Obviously, it's a thrill. It's an adrenaline rush. I get that. But I would be a mess. I would be a blubbering mess. Going from a highway patrol job to a 100-mile race, no way.
Well, they just had the last week here in Kentucky. They just had the test event for endurance here at the Kentucky Horse Park.
How'd that go?
That was a test event for the World Equestrian Games next year. It poured all day. I mean, torrential rains all day, and it was a mess. A lot of them had to pull out, and it was a mess. But they have to ride anyway, no matter what the weather. And they did. Now they did cut the 100-mile race back to 75 miles because the track was getting so beat up.
Oh, I did hear that. What? But is that true even for the World Equestrian Games? Is that do they have to ride anyway because it was a test event, or is that just the nature of endurance riding?
Is because they cut it back, it will not be a qualifier. So they're going to have to go to other events to qualify, which a lot of them were upset with.
Wow.
So it really did mess them up this year, having that cut back. But apparently they were just so afraid the track was getting slick and there were falls. And, they did it for the benefit of the horses, and it was the right thing to do.
Of course.
But some of the riders have to go to another event to qualify. So that was tough for some of the riders. And there were 21 countries represented with 95 riders. So
wow.
Everybody was coming in to see it. They all wanted to see it, get a look at it before they hopefully, qualify and ride here next year. So that was kind of an interesting day. I was not here. I was in 95-degree weather in Las Vegas. My co-host Samantha was in the pouring down rain, 40 degrees. And she kept texting me, "You better not tell me it's nice out there."
You knew better not to even call me.
We wanted to mention here real quick, and then I do want to talk just a tiny bit about what I experienced out there, because I know we've learned that we do, my name's Glenn the Geek here on the network because I'm a little bit geeky, and we've learned through the emails that we've gotten that we have quite a few geeky followers. They're not just horse people, but they're a little bit of geek too.
Yeah?
They're into computers and, new media and all that stuff, so I'll talk a little bit about it, but we wanted to mention the contest that we have going on now through the end of the month. We started this, if you remember correctly, 2 weeks ago when we did the episode about fall and winter clothing with Equestrian Collections. And we have, if you remember, Helena, we have a Mountain Horse Ladies Arena jacket we're giving away in a giveaway. Mm-hmm. We have a Horseware Newmarket Human Throw rug. That's in the yellow and red colors like the Newmarket rugs. Only this is for your couch and for you. And a Mountain Horse Unisex Ultra Socks. So we have a couple $100 worth of stuff that we're giving away. We're going to do the drawing on Halloween Day, so sign up by then. Just go to stablescoop.com and follow the banner in the middle of the page. It's easy. It's free. You just put your name and your information in there. We'll pick a winner, and we'll announce it in the show after that. And we want to thank Equestrian Collections for doing that. Equestrian Collections, has the whole universe of shopping at their fingertips for all of your fall and winter needs. We're asking you to go to equestriancollections.com and take a look. They have hundreds of items, and we went over some of them. If you missed that episode a couple weeks ago, go back and take a listen. We went over a bunch of those items, especially the mountain horse items.
Yeah.
We had fun, you and I. That show went long because we just love talking about stuff.
And they have good stuff. Mountain Horse, I think, is a great brand. They make great things. I know. I think I need a new pair of Mountain Horse boots, in fact. I'm kind of bummed I can't register for those giveaways because, that jacket was pretty sweet.
It is nice. It's a $145 jacket.
And the blanket and the socks. I mean, I could use all three of those things.
Well, you can win them just by going to stablescoop.com, and you can buy all that stuff for a great price. They have great prices over at Equestrian Collections, so you can just hop on over to equestriancollections.com. And don't forget, they hit a milestone this week, and this leads into my next just a little bit of a conversation about my week last week in Las Vegas. They what they say, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Well, I'll just tell you a little bit about the conference.
Unless you're Glenn the Geek.
So stop on over to their Facebook page, your fan page over there. Just go to Facebook and search Equestrian Collections. They just went over 10,000 fans.
Wow.
They're adding almost 1,000 fans a week. And those people love Equestrian Collections for a reason. There's great conversations going on over on their fan page. It's a wonderful place to shop. It's a wonderful place to hang out. So hang out on their Facebook page. You'll like it. People are putting up pictures of their horses, and there's just whole conversations. We put all our shows up over there. It's just a lot of fun. So check them out at equestriancollections.com. So I was at what was called Blog World, a New Media Expo. It is the annual event where all the bloggers from around the world get together and all the podcasters and new media people get together. And I was there a couple of years ago when podcasting first started, when we had our first show. And it's changed a lot now. There's thousands of people instead of hundreds. It used to be just a small pocket of us. Mm-hmm. But this year there were many, many more people coming from Fortune 500 companies and corporations around the world trying to figure out how to do new media. What do they do with Twitter? What do they do with Facebook? What do they do with all these things? And how do they do it successfully? And it was very interesting to meet some of these people, from big companies, Ford and, the auto companies and just, big companies from all different areas. really trying to take a look at what to do. And, I pitied some of these people because they're really running in. You worked for big corporations before, Helena.
I did, especially those that were during the dot-com boom when new technologies, new medias were, took off.
Right.
So a lot of my clients were Fortune 500 companies saying, help us, how do we get a handle on this new media? And interestingly, it's always the early adopters, the little guy who finds this, or develops the new media or the new technology and then puts it to good use. And then, they're a day late and a dollar short, but the big companies, they always kind of get there after the fact.
Well, and the other problem I learned over this conference, talking to the people who, and we both worked for big companies before, and I'm saying this, the reason I'm bringing this up is I know that we have many people who own companies, who own horse companies and other companies that listen to the show. And one of the mistakes that big companies make is they always assume you have to have a return on investment for everything you do. Everything has to have that direct return on investment. Well, new media is not that way anymore. It's really blurring the lines. And, what was really brought out at this conference is there's not a direct return on investment on everything you do. If you're a big corporation expecting that, forget it. Because if they go into Twitter or they go into Facebook and all they do is promote, and don't develop any conversation, then they fail. Because nobody's interested. Nobody wants that. They can get that in their ads. They can go to the website and get that.
Right.
So that's what was coming out, yet these people are still running into that at these big corporations. They're still fighting that battle, and they've been hired to do this, and they're having their hands tied. But what we found is companies like Equestrian Collections, who has this fan page over at Facebook, where there's all these conversations going on and where she promotes very little, are really becoming the new companies of the future. And, she may not be able to find a direct return on investment on that, but I guarantee you there's a return on investment.
Well, it's meaningful because
exactly.
It's just like anything old school. What you learn in Sales 101 is develop a relationship. Either, get to know people, and that's, you buy from your neighbors. You buy from your neighbors, but you have to get to know people. And new media is a way to develop new relationships, or it's new ways of developing relationships. And that's what Chris at Equestrian Collection is doing. Is she's not only creating a relationship between her company and her customers, but among her customers as well. And so sorry, go ahead.
But no, you're absolutely right. But you have to be so confident in that you're doing such a terrific job that you are confident to allow your customers to talk to each other. And so many companies are afraid of that.
Right. But then again, if you have that relationship, it's two ways. If the social media is allowing her to get feedback directly from her customers, so she can then tailor her business based on what she's hearing.
Exactly.
So so her company is going to work smarter and more efficiently.
Exactly. And, we're just using her as an example because she's a prime example. A company that is doing it correctly.
A horse company, no less.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right. And there's so many, really big companies out there that have no clue, and they're just starting to get into it. So it was very interesting, and we'll have some new things that I learned that we're going to try and put in place here at the Horse Radio Network. Some other fun stuff that's coming out in new media that we'll be the leaders in. We're the leaders in radio, so we'll be also the leaders in a couple of other things coming down the pike that I'm very excited about that I learned there that I haven't even had a chance to talk to you about yet. So
yeah, talk about a day late and a dollar short. That would be me.
All right, great. Well, I think we probably should get to our guests. I think we probably bored people with business talk long enough. Let's talk about horses in there. Why don't you introduce our first guest here today?
The first guest to join us today is California Highway Patrol officer and endurance rider Cassandra DiMaggio. Cassandra is an avid endurance rider and is doing very well, as proven by her second place showing at the infamous Tevis. Is it Tevis or Tevis?
It's Tevis Cup. Yep.
Tevis Cup. Okay. That tells you how much I know about endurance riding. She is also the organizer of the Patriots Day Ride in Northern California, and we're going to let her explain to us exactly what the Patriots Day Ride is, because that sounds kind of exciting. So welcome to Cassandra.
Well, hi, Cassandra, and welcome back to the Stable Scoop Show. It's you were on episode 30 back in March, which doesn't seem like that long ago, but it has been quite a while.
Yes, time flies.
Well, first I want to ask you about your extreme job. You still working for the California Highway Patrol?
I am. I'm still patrolling in Greenville, California.
Not much has changed there?
Nope, everything's the same.
Just the
Except
season.
now I'm by myself. I don't have a partner anymore.
Oh, is that due to budgetary cutbacks or?
No, he transferred and hasn't been replaced yet.
Ah, okay. Do they like to have you go out with partners in California, or is that a rare thing?
Well, partners at nighttime. He's my partner in the resident post, as in I work day shift, he works night shift.
Ah, gotcha. Does
So
that mean
now
you're
I'm-
working both shifts?
No, I just work the one shift, but I'm on call every night, and so I'm the only one assigned to this area.
Wow. Well, that stinks for your family's benefit, huh?
Well, luckily we don't get a whole lot of call-outs, and it just is so everybody. I've been here so long, everybody knows me, and
Well, we should remind people, too, that you're in rural California, aren't you?
extremely
Yeah.
rural in the mountains, and I think we only have about 1,000 people in Indian Valley.
Well, you know them all.
I do.
Do they know you're the wacky horse girl police officer?
They do. Actually, it's kind of neat being in the small town. They follow my riding, and they ask me how I'm doing, and they know my horses, and so it's kind of neat. And anytime I go to ride or do anything of interest, they'll put it in a little paper, and it's kind of funny.
You're their token California Highway Patrol officer / endurance rider.
Yes, absolutely. And with the Patriots Day Ride Factor that we put on, I also try and bring people to the community, and that helps bring money and support in that regard.
Tell me what's happened. What's your season been like since March?
Well, I went to the Owyhee, I think it's Fandango ride in Idaho, and was able to get my COC 3-star 100-mile competition on Chip, which was my goal, so that turned out well. And then I was debating on whether I would take him in the ride that I was managing, the ERC Championship ride, which was also a 3-star event. But I decided it would be too difficult to manage the ride and ride in it, and I really wanted to put on the best championship possible. So instead, I ended up riding Tevis, which I pledged I wouldn't do, but I couldn't help myself.
Yeah, you had to do it, didn't you?
I ended up taking poor Chip in Tevis,
And how'd
he
that
did
go?
really well. It worked out great. I mean, I had a goal to just set our own pace, which was going to be kind of easy. I didn't want to put speed in the factor, and I didn't know. I mean, Tevis is its own animal. I didn't know if he was a Tevis horse. So we kept a conservative pace, and just through natural attrition. And he was so good about eating and drinking and really taking care of himself. We ended up finishing 13th. Sorry, I think there was a group of 3 of us that came in, 11, 13. So I was thrilled. I wasn't expecting to come in that close.
Well, tell us about Chip.
Chip is 8 years old. I've had him for 2.5 years. I got him when he was 6, and he had been broke to ride at that age. So I've been trying to bring him up slowly with that in mind.
Is he a full Arab?
He is a full Arab. He's just about 16 hands. He is
Well, he's a big guy, huh?
He's
Sure.
huge.
Yeah.
He's a dark bay or chocolate bay. He's out of a racing Arabian line. El Mokhtar was his great-grandsire. I believe he was in The Black Stallion Returns.
Oh, okay.
Kind of fun trivia. I Googled his lineage. And then his dam side is Bezital. And so next year will be his 3rd season. So I'm hoping to start putting some speed on him about midway through the season.
Well, there you go. So, is he? Do you think he's going to be your the horse, or?
Well, I'm hoping so.
Yeah.
It's looking that way. He did so great at Tevis for me. Yeah, I never had to worry about, if he was taking care of himself and good recoveries, and
we should say for everybody's benefit that hasn't heard of Tevis, Tevis is one of the most difficult and as you said, unique endurance rides in the United States, held in California in a very barren. You don't see a lot of green on that ride, do you?
Not really. It's mostly mountain and rocky. There are a lot of trees, especially towards the latter half. And every year it keeps getting more and more difficult, and the trail is really treacherous in some locations.
It's quite a challenge. Would you say it's the most challenging of the courses here in the United States?
Absolutely.
Yeah. How many? Yes. Do you know how many started this year at Tevis?
It was about 175.
Wow, that keeps growing, doesn't it?
And it does. And what's interesting about the Tevis, unlike any other ride, the start is always kind of chaotic, and it's got better. They've done a system that's called pens, but still, most rides, especially 100-mile riders start off conservatively. They pace their horse, but Tevis, they just blast off and they take off, and so it's really hard to control your horse and set a realistic pace in the beginning.
And this is just a free-for-all, right? Everybody starts at the same time. It's like a road run race.
It is, but it has gotten better. The pen system is you have to qualify to get in the front pen.
Oh, okay, so they start them a little bit anyway?
Yes, yeah. They do. But still, it's like people kind of lose their mind a little bit. And the horses can feel the excitement. Riders can feel the excitement. And so what ends up happening is, and what happened with Chip and I, is all these riders that were just screaming by us in the beginning, you end up passing them.
Well, sure. It is 100 miles.
It is.
It does take, 8 to 12 hours. So it's like it's like a NASCAR race. You really don't need to be leading the first lap.
No, absolutely not. It's never good if you're in the top 10 coming into Robinson.
So you did that, and how did you also help organize a ride in Northern California, and how did that go this year? That's the Patriots Day ride, correct?
Yes, the Patriots Day ride, we've hosted that since 2004, and this year we were chosen as the ERC National Championship ride site.
Okay.
So I've been gearing up that for 2 years, and so after Tevis, I let Chip have the rest of the year off and started really focusing on the championship ride, and that was also an FEI ride, a 3-star FEI and a 1-star FEI, and it went fantastic. The weather couldn't be better. We had a huge turnout. I was told by the AERC president it was one of the largest turnouts they've had in years.
Wow.
And on the West Coast in many, many years. And we had riders all the way from Canada and one from Japan, a rider as far as Illinois. And it was amazing. And you wouldn't believe how fast these riders went. It was shocking compared to previous. I compare it to the previous riders at Patriots Day ride, and I was amazed. But we still had for a 100-mile ride, I believe we had a 30% completion, or 60+% completion rate, between 60 and 70%.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Which is high for a championship ride, too.
Yeah. And it's now where you are in Northern California where you hold this ride. Is it more wooded, more forest-like, or than, let's say, the Tevis Cup, which is pretty barren, rocky mountain?
It's somewhat similar. There are no, cliff-side drop-offs. Where there is a drop-off, we have about a 10 to 12-foot trail. So it's not treacherous or dangerous like Tevis, but you've got a lot of good mountain climbs. You can see views from most of the trail. We have a couple of beautiful lakes you'll see on the trail, but there's a lot of woods and a couple meadows.
So when you're doing a ride like this, 100-mile ride, and you're intent and you're in a competition, do you really take time to look at the views, or are you just going by?
Oh, I do.
Do you? Okay.
I don't know about other riders, but I'm in awe every time I do Tevis. And at any ride, that's why I love endurance. I used to do the arena stuff, but, now it's so wonderful to be competitive out on the trail and see some of the most beautiful scenery.
Well, you congratulations on the Patriots Day ride. Sounds like that was a huge success, and I know what it's like to organize large events like that. It makes everything else look minor when you're trying to run an event that has that many rides, and when you got the FEI involved, adds a whole new element, and it just congratulations. It sounds like it was great. You had a better weather than they did here at the Kentucky Horse Park last week for the test event for the World Equestrian Games.
Yes, and I followed that closely because a good majority of the riders that came to the championship ride went to Kentucky and competed there. So,
well, it just poured. I mean, just came down by the bucketfuls all day long. Mud this is a pretty good, they had a very grassy ride through Kentucky. We're known for a little bluegrass and farms and everything. Very pretty ride they had, but it just got slick as could be just with the volume of inches of rain we had. And everything was wet, and I know the horses were starting to get a little agitated. And then after the second loop, when they came into the vet checks, they called it and said that they were going to drop it from 100 to 75 miles.
Right.
Which also means it's not a qualifier.
No. A lot of people went there hoping to get...
Yeah, so now they're going to have to do another ride, which was kind of disappointing. But, the winners even said in the press conference that they didn't even think the horses were going to be able to finish this, that it was probably good they did, because it was getting that slick and treacherous. They did have a 48% completion, apparently.
There was a pretty dramatic pull rate, so that says a lot about the horses that did finish. It was incredibly challenging. So
yeah, apparently, and when you have Jan Worthington, who's 69 years old, been doing this forever, came in third, and she said this was one of the toughest rides she's ever had, and she almost got hit by lightning in Malaysia or wherever last year at the World Cup. So. At the World Championship. Right. So, for her to come out and say that means it was pretty challenging. So.
Yes. Elroy Carius from Canada came to our ride, and been keeping in touch with him by email, and he's hoping to make the Canadian team. And he sent a detailed description of his ride. He did the 100-mile from the start to the finish, and I felt like I was looking over his shoulder, watching him ride. It was incredible to hear him tell the story about how difficult it was and how exhausted the horses were at the end. He said hawk-deep mud in some locations.
Yes, it was pretty bad.
So,
now, do you have any hopes for World Equestrian Games? Do you have any horses that...
Well, I'm hoping for Chip to at least get qualified. We're still a long way off, but you never know if I can keep him healthy and keep plugging away. We've got 3 rides that we're going to go to. I have another horse that I'm trying to bring up as well. So, if not next year, there's always the next games. But that is my goal. I'm still chugging away at that, and I'm either going to be there as a rider, a crew member, or volunteer, one way or the other.
All right. Well, then we'll definitely see you there, because as you know, we do the World Equestrian Games radio show as well. So we look forward to seeing you over here. Well, it's been great getting caught up with you again. Congratulations on your year, and congratulations. Give Chip a hug for us. And on the Patriots Day ride as well. And keep everybody safe there in Northern California, okay?
Absolutely.
All right, Cassandra, thanks a lot.
All right. Thank you so much.
Our next guest has been with us before, as Glenn and I have mentioned. 30-year-old Liz Halliday is a woman who certainly likes speed and danger. She's involved in 2 of the most dangerous sports there are. On the horse side, she's an eventer who's competed at the 3-star level and has hopes to go to the Olympics one day. On the professional race car driver side, she's an amazing story as well. Liz has had a rapid and impressive ascent up the motor racing ladder. In just 2 full seasons of international racing, Liz became the most successful female driver ever in the history of the American Le Mans Series. That's America's most prestigious sports car racing series for those of you who don't know much about race car driving, like me. Anyway, with many wins to her credit, Liz has arguably become one of the most successful drivers in the history of racing. And welcome to Liz.
Well, hi, Liz, and welcome back to Stable Scoop. It's been since March since we had you on, and a lot has happened in your life, judging by the press releases that I get constantly.
Yeah, no, it's been really, really busy, and thanks for having me back. I'm sure we have lots to talk about.
I know. Well, where do we want to start? Let's start with, because I know this audience wants to hear about the horse side of things, so we'll start with racing, and then we'll get to the horses. You did some announcing at was it Le Mans this year?
It was, yeah. I've done commentary for Eurosport TV for the last 2 years at Le Mans 24 Hours, which is fantastic, but obviously I'd rather be in a car
right, exactly.
having done the race. But, you know, it is great to be there, and, you know, I get to be a part of the race, and I still get to be at the track as well. You know, I do get to go to France and be a part of it, and, you know, I've had a lot of fun, and, yeah, I really enjoy it, and I think it's a fantastic alternative. At least I'm still there, and I'm still a part of the racing.
So do you enjoy doing the announcing, or, you know, I know you'd rather be in the car, but is that something you enjoy anyway?
Yeah, no, I really do enjoy it. I mean, you know, I get to sit up there and talk endlessly, which is something I'm pretty good at.
You know, you want a job on a podcast?
Yeah, we can get you a job weekly there, Liz.
Awesome. I'm good at talking. But, no, I really do enjoy it, and I get to work with some really great people. I've gotten to be good friends with the people I've worked with, and, you know, I get to see everybody in the pit still, and it keeps me a part of it, even when, you know, I don't maybe have the finances to do the racing, so at least I'm still in the loop, if you know what I mean, and I hope that one day that'll help, you know, lead me back into it a bit more.
Did you do
Is
any?
Is that what led you to this particular gig? Is that you just sort of found yourself with some downtime? But I mean, how did it come about? How did the commentary thing come about?
Well, I had done a bit of work for CBS Sports in America. I did some pit reporting there, and I'd done some work for Motors TV in England, and I just knew a few people sort of who were involved with Eurosport, and it just sort of one thing led to another type thing, and suddenly I found myself being asked if I wanted to do the coverage if I wasn't racing, and at the last minute in 2008, it came about that I didn't have a drive, and so I sort of found myself up in the commentary box instead of on the racetrack, and that's luckily that went well, and they've sort of said, you know, they're happy to have me back each year, really. So that's a great alternative, like I say.
So
cool.
Did you get to do any?
Sorry, Glenn, go ahead.
I was just going to ask if you got to do any driving this year at all.
I haven't really, unfortunately, which is really depressing. But you know, I've had to sort of face reality about, you know, finances, and also I've had a lot of horses come into my stable, so to speak. So I've had a really busy horse year, which is not a bad thing. And I'm hoping to possibly be testing a car actually in the next month or so. I have been offered, you know, a couple tests, so hoping to do that and maybe put something together for next year. But you know, I've had to be a bit realistic about. You know, I've had options to drive, but I've had to be realistic about finances and about sponsors, and I've been lucky to have some great sponsors for my riding this year. So I've sort of said, well, this is just the way reality is, and, you know, I'm lucky to have the horses and the rides, and I'm just going to roll with that this year.
Has sponsorship tightened up on the racing side, too?
Yeah, I think, you know, the recession's really hit racing really hard because it is so expensive, as you can imagine. And, you know, we've had a majorly reduced amount of people on the grid this year, and a lot of teams have dropped out. It's been really, really hard on sports car racing, and I'm sure on any racing. But, you know, certainly it's made it difficult for big companies to sponsor drivers, as you can imagine. So it's not been as easy to find big sponsors, and you know, I think that's just the reality of it all happening to us, isn't it?
Well, yeah, and I know that with NASCAR, the major sponsors will have to put up $10-20 million to sponsor a car. And
oh my!
Oh, it's big.
Yeah, it's major money. I mean, yeah. It's not small change, and you know, it wouldn't be those sort of sums for me, but it's still a lot of money. I mean, it's still a big load of money. So, you know, I can sort of understand, you know, why companies aren't really getting involved like they were a few years ago. And, you know, like I say, a lot of us have just had to sort of accept the reality of that and thought, well, we'll try and keep ourselves in it and, you know, stay involved, and hopefully things will come back our way. And I do hope to be driving at Le Mans next year.
Do you
All right, but
go ahead, Helena.
In the meantime, you've got some horses, like you said, coming into your stable. Let's. I'm sorry, Glenn. I can't wait to talk about the horse stuff. I have to go into it.
I'm a geek. I want to talk about cars.
Well, you're totally a geek. But as we do for a lot of our interviewees, I usually have their website up while we're talking, whatever. And I'm looking at your eventing galleries, and I'm just starting to drool because I want to talk about some of these fences that you're going over, and your horses, and what your program is, and all that. So, how many horses do you have in your stable right now?
I've got 9 that I'm riding, and I've got 2 others who belong to the man who owns the property of the amazing new yard that I'm renting. So I've got 11 in total, so it's a lot.
That 9 is a lot to be riding all yourself. Where are they in their careers, and does it range from novice to advanced? What do you have there?
Yeah, I mean, I've had a really educational year, actually. I've ended up with a lot of, sort of young horses, or horses that are sort of just getting into eventing, actually. They always say, my friends say it goes in waves. One year you'll have nothing but intermediate and advanced horses, and the next year you've got nothing but novice horses. Well, it's been a bit like one of those waves for me this year. One of my advanced horses has only been back in work for sort of the last 3 events of the season. And other than that, I've been lucky to I've bought a couple of young horses myself, sort of for projects. And one of them has gone amazingly. My 4-year-old has managed to finish 5th in the Young Horse Championships in Britain. So I suppose that makes him the 5th top 4-year-old in the whole country, which is pretty cool.
And was that Baloo?
Yeah, that's Baloo. Yeah, he's massive, but he's lovely. I'm hoping he'll be my badminton horse one day.
And he's a big guy, you said?
He's huge for a 4-year-old. Yeah, he just turned 4 in June, and he's 17 hands already.
Wow.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, he's a big boy, but he's very, very cool and very laid-back, chilled-out, cool horse. I bought him in April, and I'm really pleased I did. He's just been a fabulous horse to have.
Warm blood or what?
No, he's Irish, actually. But, I mean, they say Irish, but, I mean, such a mix nowadays. I mean, he's got French in his blood, and he's got Dutch in his background, and he's got a bit of everything. But he is registered as an Irish horse. And he's got the chilled-out Irish brain.
Is this the bay with the teeny tiny little white star on his forehead?
Yes, nice. Yeah, that's him. Yeah, the one furl. I think there's a photo of him there.
Yeah, thank you. It's he is a big boy. That's some neck, huh?
Yeah, he's a big horse. He wouldn't suit everybody, but for a big horse, he's surprisingly balanced, though, especially for such a baby. I mean, he's just amazing.
Pictures, it's like he looks like a Cadillac.
Yeah, he is a bit of a Cadillac. I like that. He really is. He sort of cruises along. He's a bit like that.
Do you ever compare your horses and the kind of ride you have to racing or to kinds of cars?
Yeah, I do sometimes. I mean, a lot of times you get stuff that's sort of, nippy like a sports car, a bit like a Cadillac, like you say. Like Blue is definitely sort of your standard Cadillac. It's I do sometimes. In my head, I definitely would compare them to some of the cars I've driven, definitely. But it's been a cool year. I've got a few show jumpers as well that I've taken on for owners and that sort of thing, which is exciting. So I'm branching into that side of my life, and I've sort of brought on some who'd never done eventing before, and it's been my first year ever really that I've had horses that have never evented before, that I've had to sort of teach to do that. So that's been a big education for me, and I've really enjoyed that. I'm hoping to do more of it next year.
So it's been a while since you rode pre-novice, huh?
Yeah, I did sort of a couple last year, but that was about it. And then this year it's like, well, back to pre-novice and novice like all year. And then I go to an intermediate event and I'm going, wow, that looks really big. I'm thinking that's not good.
It is funny how quickly they start to look bigger. With the less you ride them, they do get to look bigger again.
Oh, it's kind of embarrassing actually. I think about it. I went to do I did an advanced event back at the end of August. I sort of went just to do the dressage and the show jumping on my advanced horse who hasn't done much all year. And I swear I looked at the show jumping and I went, oh my God, it's so big. I was staring at it going, really? Has it gotten bigger this year? My trainer's going, no, Liz, it's the same height it was when you did it back last year. It just looks huge because I've been, doing novice all year. So it's been a bit eye-opening on that side of it. But, I'm looking forward to next year, and I'm hoping to have, possibly maybe a new advanced horse in if I can find one, and my other 2 should be up and running. So it'll all be a bit more evened out next year, we hope.
So what's
I'd
your...
love to.
Well, go ahead,
Sorry, Glenn.
Kalina. No,
I'd
go
love
ahead.
to know how you squeeze 9 rides in. Do you do them all in one day, or do you break it up over the week?
I mean, you'd be surprised. They don't usually all need to be sort of schooled or jumped every day, especially event horses, because they have got so much fitness work they do. And, a lot of days, one will have galloped or something, so it's hacking. So, that's where it comes down to the help that I have. And a few people can hack them for me, or I have a lot of my horses do lunging because it's really good for them. And I've got a few horses that are a bit tricky and things like that. So it's nice for them to not have a rider on them every day. So it sort of works out that, I don't usually ride more than sort of 6 or 7 a day generally. But the 9th one just came in not that long ago. That was about a month ago, sort of to finish off the season. So, I've had the odd day where I've ridden 8 or 9, but normally it doesn't sort of end up being as crazy as it sounds.
Now, where are you located? You said you're at a new place in England? You have a new barn?
Yeah, I've just started renting a place that's amazing. I mean, people are calling it sort of the best facility in the southeast of England, which is pretty cool. It's brand new. It's in a place called Chelwood Gate, which is in East Sussex. And yeah, it's totally incredible. When it's all finished. It's not even finished yet. That's how new it is. It's going to have room for about 50 horses. I'm renting a 12-stable American-style barn, sort of with my own tack room and everything in it. We have a full cross-country course, an indoor school, a huge outdoor school, a 6-horse walker.
Wow.
165 acres. I mean, it's insane.
165 acres in England's pretty big, too.
Yeah, it's big. It was an old dairy farm, so that's why it's got so much space. But, it's been something that's been in the works for a long time, and I'm just really, really excited to have a piece of it.
And isn't that the part of England that never rains? I'm being sarcastic.
There's no
that
part of England that never rains. I was about to say that. No, I have to say, though, we've had, the driest September and October
really?
ever. So that's why I sort of stopped for a minute and went, well, maybe we are. No, but it's currently raining now, so no.
Helena's from New England. Helena's up in the Boston or New Rhode Island area now, and it's been raining there for a week, hasn't it?
It just stopped.
Lovely.
It seems to rain. We had a nor'easter. Yeah, and it rained buckets and buckets
and buckets. It snowed, actually, in parts of New England.
It did.
Already.
It did. In my old neighborhood, they had some snow that stuck to the ground.
It's way too
early. Oh, my gosh, already?
Yeah.
Oh, how depressing.
It is, isn't it? So tell us about some of your other horses.
I'm going back to California next week. So.
Oh, yeah? There you go.
Take me with you.
Yeah, I am, yeah.
I'll tell you, Las Vegas last week was beautiful, 85 degrees and sunny every day.
Oh, nice. Don't tell me that now. Yeah. Anyway, back to horses, right?
Yeah, tell us about what other ones do you have hopes for advance someday? Is there another one that's beside Baloo that really stands out?
Well, I've got Donovan, who was the one who was second in Portugal, if you remember.
Yep.
And he's still going to be cool. He had a couple months of not much, really, because he ended up with some muscle damage back in June. And then he injured himself in his stable on top of that. So that was a nightmare. So he actually didn't run from June up until this Saturday. And I got him back out on Saturday and ran around a pre-novice just to get him up and running. And he won that. So that was cool. So he's back up and running. But obviously we're at the end of our season. So I sort of got him out, ran around a pre-novice. That was about it.
Yeah, yeah.
But no, he felt fabulous. So I might take him back to Portugal next year. And then I'm hoping he'll do a 2-star next year and then go on to advanced. I've always sort of believed that he would be a super horse. I've still got Oscar, who hasn't done much this year, sadly, due to the injury he received the year before. But he's hopefully going to be back up and running for the spring and doing 3-star again. And I hope to maybe have him at 4-star by 2011. So, and I've got Foxy, who's still kicking on and running, and he's my 3-star horse. So I've got a few that are already up there. And then, mainly I'm just going to be looking to actually get another one, I hope, because I've got a few horses that are owned by people that I have in to sell on. So I'm hoping if I can sort of sort that out, then I can possibly find myself another fun, exciting prospect.
So what's been your dream? What's your dream ride? Is it badminton, Burley, Rolex? Is there a dream ride that you've always wanted to do, that ride, you've always wanted to take?
Well, I think for any event rider, badminton is always, the big pinnacle of eventing, isn't it? I mean, certainly as a kid, I remember watching it on TV, and then when I first came to England and I went to badminton, it was like being at the Olympics. It was, it was such a big deal because growing up in California, Badminton is so far away, and now it's, a couple hours in a car. So I mean, that for me is still the pinnacle. But I have to say that Kentucky is a really big goal for me, and I actually really wanted to do Kentucky this year. And unfortunately, my horse that I took to the 3-star in Holland last year came back with some injuries we didn't know he had, so he wasn't able to. But that was sort of my plan. This time last year, I was saying I want to go to Kentucky in 2009. And actually, I went to the inaugural 4-star as a spectator back in 1998. And I sort of at that moment thought, I really want to be here one day. So it's an event that I've always really wanted to do, and I really wanted to do it this year. And unfortunately, my horse that I had as a 3-star this time last year came back with an injury, so I wasn't able to go. But initially, that was sort of my plan. And I remember speaking to Buck Davidson when we were at Buccalo together last year. I was stable next to him, and he was saying, "Oh, Rolex, such an amazing event, and you should come and do that as your first 4-star." And I was really fired up and really hoping I could be there this year. But, you never know. Hopefully in the next couple of years I can make the trip.
Well, we want to see you, too. We do the eventing radio show as well here on the Horse Radio Network, so we want to see you over here.
Yeah, that would be so cool. Wouldn't it be neat to just come back? It's been 10 years. I could come and, actually turn up and have a chat.
Hey, you know what? I wanted to ask you, too. Are you going to make your way over to watch for the WAG?
I'd love to. I don't know if I can, but I would really love to, because obviously, having an American passport, that bit's easy.
Yeah, right. But, if you do come over, let us know. We'd love to get you on, because we also do the World Equestrian Games show. So,
oh, cool.
We'd love to get you on for a couple minutes. And, do you know Boyd Martin at all? You know Boyd?
Oh, I don't think I do. No, I don't think so.
Okay, I was just curious. I've actually resigned from the eventing radio show as the co-host now, and Boyd, who is an Australian rider turned American, he rides with Philip Dutton's barn here in Pennsylvania. And,
oh, okay.
And he is now taking over the co-hosting. He just won Fairhill, actually, last week.
Oh, cool. Wow.
So he's actually taking over as co-host for the show, and he's quite a character. That should be a lot of fun. So don't be surprised if they call you from the eventing radio show sometime to get you on as well.
Oh, I'd love them to. I'd love them to. You know me, I like to talk.
So we're hoping for badminton one day, maybe not next year, but the following.
Yeah, hopefully. Originally I'd sort of hoped that it would be a next year thing, but with Oscar out of play this year, I think that's sort of fallen by the wayside, sadly. But I definitely have aspirations for 2011, and I still have hopes for the Olympic Games and all that. And I think this year, although I've not had many running in advance this year, I have actually learned a lot, and I think my riding skills have gotten better, having had so many green horses and inexperienced horses. And I hope that maybe I'm sort of upping my way to the top by education rather than always being at the top level this year. So at least that's what I'm telling myself, to not be depressed about it.
Well, that happens to every eventer, though. You're right. You do go through those phases where you have horses that are advanced, and then you're basically starting over. You almost have to do it every couple of years.
Yeah.
If you get lucky, you have an advanced horse always going, but that's that's further between than common. I think in event.
Yeah.
It's just
You've
frustrating.
got to have so many, I think, to have one. Yeah, it is frustrating. It's really difficult because you sort of think, oh, it's all going great. And, last year I had, 2 or 3 horses that were running at 3-star level, and it was amazing. And I thought, oh, this is all going forward. And then before you know it, none of them are functioning. And you're thinking, well, there you go.
That's the other thing about horses. If they just would stop getting hurt, you wouldn't have this problem.
I know, if we could just transplant the legs, it'd be a lot easier. I'm waiting for the day when that happens.
Just put a new one on.
Exactly. Stick the new one on, carry on.
So now, have you ever had any desire? You're from California originally. You said you're going back there soon. I assume going back to do you still have family there?
Yes, yeah, my parents still live there, so my partner and I are going back to see them next week, which will be really nice.
Any desire to move back, or you stuck in England now?
Well, I think if the eventing scene was a bit better in California, then I would go back, because I do miss it, and I miss the weather, and, I love seeing all my family out there. But I don't know, I think, to be honest, if I headed back to the U.S., it'd have to be to the East Coast, unless I wasn't eventing anymore. But I do think I will end up back in the U.S. soon, in another sort of few years. But I told myself I'll wait till 2012, and then maybe
you have the Olympics right down the street from you. So
yeah, exactly. I think I'm going to need to get my horses up and running and staying in one piece pretty soon if I want to make that one. But you never know. And I do think I will go back eventually, though. But I do think it'll probably be the East Coast.
Is it easy to get around to travel to shows and events in England? I'm thinking it might be easier there than it is here in the U.S.
Oh my gosh, yeah, like so
Big
much
difference?
easier. Yeah, I mean that's why people come here, isn't it? Because we've got so many events happening in so many places all the time that it's easy enough. You know, I can go and do an advanced event that's, you know, an hour or two away and do all 3 phases in one day and be home that evening, which would be absolutely impossible to do in California. I mean, you couldn't do it. And even on the East Coast, I think it's difficult to do.
Yeah, we'll still drive 8-10 hours
definitely.
to an event. Yeah.
I mean, 8 or 10 hours for us is like the north of Scotland.
Yeah, you'd be in the water by then. Yeah.
Yeah, seriously. And nobody would do it. I mean, it would have to be for a 3-day event. You wouldn't do that for a 1-day event, ever. I mean, we'll go to France or Holland or all that for 3 days, but for a 1-day event, I mean, most people won't want to go much further than 4 hours, maybe.
Yeah, I remember a lot of mornings waking up at 2 in the morning, heading out by 3, and getting home at 7 or 8 or 9 that night.
Yeah. I've done a few of those this year, I have to be honest.
It's It gets old.
Yeah, no, you get ready for the end of the season. I had a few of those in a row recently, and I was kind of like, you know, I'm kind of ready for the season to be over. You know,
so
when you're getting up at 3.
What do you do over the winter? You just working the horses and that kind of thing, or do you have other things that you do racing-wise? Or?
Well, I've actually got a lot more horses. Like I say, I've got a lot of horses that are sort of young and, you know, still learning and stuff in my yard at the moment. So I'm going to have more horses in work than I would normally. And I am planning to do quite a lot of show jumping and dressage this year. I've decided I'm going to do a lot of that through the winter and really get myself nailed down on those phases, you know, in the off season, because I think that's really important. So I'm going to work on my weaknesses and do a lot of training. But, you know, I am going to also try and work on the racing side of things. I'd like to do some more with the media and some more commentary. So I'm going to look into that, see what I can nail down for next year. And, you know, I'm hoping to do a bit of work for Porsche as well, which was something I was looking into earlier in the year. So, yeah, just going to try and stay busy, really, which shouldn't be too hard with a new place to look after and all of that. So I don't think I'll have any trouble.
Yeah, I'm just tired listening to everything that you have to do in a day. But it's fun. I mean, you love it, and so your passion and your love for it motivates you to, you know, to go at all hours and all speeds.
Yeah, I mean, I'm lucky to have the opportunity, I think, is the way I look at it. So if you don't embrace that and give it everything you have, you know, I think anybody would be crazy not to do that, right?
Absolutely. So what's your next upcoming event?
Well, I've just literally done Tweedledum last weekend, and I've withdrawn from Alden, which is this weekend, and that's sort of the last event of the year. I've withdrawn because really the horses I'd entered, they don't really need the run. They're young and they're, you know, feeling a bit tired, I think, from the season, and they all had a good run last time, so I've just decided not to go to that. And I might go show jumping on Sunday, and then I'm going to head back to America for a week and sort of recharge. And then onwards to the winter, really, which is going to be, I'm hoping to find a new horse, hoping to sell a few horses, hoping to do lots of show jumping, lots of dressage, and, yeah, like I say, just sort of hone my skills and hopefully come back bigger and stronger next year.
All right.
Well, being a geek, I want to see you back in the car next year, too, okay?
Oh, me too. Trust me. If you can find me one, let me know. I mean, I'm hoping to maybe test something soon, and you know, there's options for me to race. That's not been the problem. It's mainly just a financial thing, and I think that's going to be the biggest push, finances and time. But you know, hopefully by next year I'll have a good lineup of staff and be able to find myself some big sponsors and be back in one, because trust me, it's killed me this year. It's not been nice.
Well, I don't think the Horse Radio Network's quite ready for a spot on your hood.
That'd be pretty cool, though.
That would be cool.
we might be able to find a spot on your saddle pad. But,
okay, you know, there's more space on the front of a car, though. Really.
I tell you, the stable scoop logo would look awesome there. You could have the goofiest logo on the track.
Well, I'll tell you
That'd be cool.
Yeah, the little stable scoop guy would be interesting there. That's for sure. Well,
I'll tell you what. If I do Le Mans next year and you get me your logo, I'll put a little sticker on the car.
Oh, that'll be great.
I will. I swear I'll do it for you. I will.
Logo on there. Everybody will be going, what the heck is that?
Yeah, no, I can't promise a big one, but I can definitely put one on there for you.
That's okay. We'll take a 4-inch
too.
by 4-inch going at, what, 200 miles an hour?
Selena, we're going to have to go over there and cheer her on.
Hey.
You guys are going to have to come to Le Mans now, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Little French trip.
Oh, that'd be fun.
It's a nice time of year in France.
I would do it. I would do it in a heartbeat.
Well, do you want to put in a plug for your sponsors here, for your horse sponsors?
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to say, obviously, thank you to Feed, who's out in America now and doing really well, I hear, which is fantastic. They've been great sponsors to me. Quantum Saddles as well, who's working their way over there. And Equine Superstore is an internet source over here, which has been brilliant. And also for Performance Drink. Thank you very much to all of them.
Well, that's great.
Well, thanks to you guys for having me on again.
Yeah, no problem.
Pleasure.
It's LizHalliday.com. You can see pictures of her riding on both modes of transportation. One's a little bluer than the other.
Yeah.
Is that your color, blue, for the race car? You always blue?
Well, that particular one was.
Yeah, okay.
I don't mind as long as it's fast and it has 4 wheels. I don't really care what color it is.
I was just glad it wasn't pink. I really was.
And me. Yeah. No, I wouldn't be down with pink. I've got to be honest.
Well, thank you very much, Liz. It's been great talking to you. Will you come back again, maybe beginning of next season?
Absolutely. I would love to.
And if you get over here to Lexington, let me know, all right?
I will do. I will. Absolutely. If I can make it there, you'll be first on my list of people to call.
Well, I'd love to meet you in person.
Absolutely. Thanks very much, guys. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Well, it's always fun to talk to Liz, Helena, and both of them, Cassandra and Liz. Liz just has an amazing story, and let's hope she gets back in a car next year. It sounds like she's really itching to go 200 miles an hour again.
And you know what's funny is that my husband said to me, he said, "What's the show topic for this week?" And I said, "Oh, we're having 2 of our extreme horsewomen back." And he said, "Oh, I guess they made it through the year."
Good comment, actually.
I said, "Yeah, that's an important point."
Both in one piece, too, so I guess that's good. That's funny. All right. Well, I wanted to mention, too, that we had some other exciting things happen this past week. While I was out in Vegas on the other shows that we do, the Dressage Radio Show actually set a new record for the Horse Radio Network in downloads in 1 week, and that was because Isabel Worth was on. If you haven't had a chance to listen to Isabel Worth's interview with Chris on the Dressage Radio Show, go take a listen to go to dressageradio.com. Of course, Isabel has been, the leader in dressage for years, and she was recently suspended for a doping violation, and she speaks candidly about that, as well as she's 9 months pregnant, so she talks about that as well. But
which helps to your candor.
Yeah, and she also, exactly. And she also speaks about the German Federation and how she feels about them. She pretty much let it all out. So take a listen. This is an exclusive interview. As far as we know, she hasn't done another audio interview. She was very excited to be able to get her side of the story out. She speaks very good English, so there won't be any problem with you understanding her at all. So take a listen to that. I think it's worth listening to. And then also yesterday, we put out the first show with the new co-host of the Eventing Radio Show. It was Boyd Martin was on. He's gonna be one of 2 new co-hosts with on the Eventing Radio Show. And Boyd just happened to win Fair Hill event last week, which is a very large event. So he came off a win and spoke all about Fair Hill, and it also poured there and was a mess.
Yeah.
So he talks about that in this week's show, and Boyd really makes his debut as co-host. So,
all right.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that. He had a quote. The U.S. Eventing did an article on the USEA.
I saw
did you see that?
I did. My God, they shredded the poor guy up. I mean, come on.
They had an article on there, and he basically came out and said he's going to ask all the tough questions. Look out anybody he interviews. So it should add some excitement to the Eventing Radio Show.
That's perfect. That's perfect for the Horse Radio Network. That's what we're all about. We are not about...
She's going to have her hands full with Boyd.
Chris can handle it. She's been around for a long time.
Yes. All right, so take a listen to both of those, and you can find all our other shows at horseradionetwork.com. And I wanted to mention somebody I met just real quick, and then we'll wrap up the show out at the expo. And it's a podcast that you listen to. And that's Grammar Girl.
Love her.
And you can go to, I think it's grammargirl.com. And she does a podcast where she talks about grammar every week, right? Is it weekly?
Yes.
I think it's weekly. She puts out a show, and she talks about grammar. She has become one of the most successful podcasters in the history of podcasting with this show where she just gives grammar tips. But what happened is it got picked up early by Oprah, and she ended up on the Oprah show. Then she got a book deal to put all of her tips together in a book. And now she has a complete network of tips. She has a whole network that she's developed doing different kinds of tips in different genres. And she's been on the morning show. She has become a celebrity. And so I got to speak to her for about 20 minutes because I designed Horse Tip Daily after her shows. Mm-hmm. And so I got to speak with her about that. And, she's just a lovely person. She comes across that way in the show.
I'm so glad to hear that she's just as nice in person because I hate to hear it when somebody's a total dink in real life, She
spent 20 minutes with me, and she didn't have to do that,
That's awesome.
And it was very nice to speak with her, and, she's kind of one of the heroes of podcasting now because she is making a very good living doing it. So someday we might, too, Helena.
She was. I remember when I first was like, what is this podcasting thing? And I found Grammar Girl through NPR because I have to say NPR was one of the leaders in podcasting.
Yes. Yep.
And a couple of years ago, and that was how I found the Grammar Girl show. And I would religiously download her shows from iTunes. And you subscribe through iTunes, and I would walk or run, and I'd be listening to Grammar Girl on my iPod, thinking, I am a total geek. What is this new technology? And does the rest of the world know about this?
Well, it's funny. You wouldn't think that a show about grammar would be any fun, but she makes it fun.
She does make it fun, yeah.
It's not boring or dry. It really isn't. She makes it fun, and that's the reason she's built a whole network around it.
Yeah.
She's done a great job with it. So it was nice. Thank you to Grammar Girl for spending time with me.
Yeah,
well, you can find all of our show notes at stablescoop.com. You can give us feedback by sending us an email or a voicemail, and you can do that right through our website there. And don't forget to sign up. Go right now and sign up for the giveaway for all that great mountain horse stuff donated by equestriancollections.com. Go sign up now. We want you to have a chance to win, and that's now through Halloween. Do that. Well, Helena, I think we've about wrapped it up. That's all the time we have.
Another show down the drain. I mean,
in the can. No, another show in the can.
In the can. Whoops. Down the drain. In the can. I have no business being in podcasting.
That's right. Well, we keep you here anyway because you're fun.
Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for listening. We love the feedback that we get. So please keep it coming.
Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you for keeping Stable Scoop as the #1 show on the Horse Radio Network. And Helena, we'll see you again next week as we'll be here with
The Scoop.